And as always, here on the Joe Judge Report, presented by Stop and Shop, we're joined by the head coach of the New York Giants, Joe Judge. And Coach, obviously, at the end of the first half, your defense comes up and makes a huge play to make sure that the Falcons don't get points late. And Azeez Ojulari becomes the first Giant ever to get at least one sack in his first 3 games of his Giants career as a rookie.
Well, that's a pretty big mark. I wasn't aware of this. Some great players come through here. I would say, obviously, this is a huge defensive stand for us. We had the turnover before this. We talk all the time, defense doesn't have the choice of when or where they take the field. They have the choice of how they play it and how they execute it. This is a position right here that we really challenged them when this happened, called them over on the sideline, kind of got them up. Thought Pat made some really good calls here to really put him in a 3-and-out situation, but the 3rd-and-out right here comes with the strip sack. It was a good play for us because it still would have given them a chance at the end of the half to attempt a long field goal. So this is a key play for us right here. People ask us all the time about the pass rush. You know, one of the biggest things we hear around here, obviously having great players come through here, the Lawrence Taylors and all over the world. You know, people want to know, where's the pass rush coming from? We have players up front we have a lot of confidence in, but to me, the pass rush, it's all tied together and it's very complementary. When I say that, I mean you can't get the rush up front if you don't have the coverage on the back end. And it all ties together. And you watch a guy like Matt Ryan, he gets the ball out consistently in under 3 seconds. And what you've got to do right there is make sure the receivers don't have quick access to get open, and that allows the pressure to get there. If you're soft on the coverage, there's a seam open, he's going to find it. Before these guys can do their job up front, the coverage is not going to have a chance to make the play because they're out of position. So it's a good shot right here. We're playing man right here, and you really watch on the back end the coverage. Don't worry about the rush at this point, but you watch at this point right here, as Matt's about to throw the ball right before the sack, you watch all the receivers across the board, and everybody's covered, and there's also deep field help over top of everybody. So there's really nowhere for him to go with the ball without being a risk for a turnover. That caused him to hold that ball just that extra second, which allows the sack to get here. And then a couple elements of the sack we're going to go to on the edge. It's, again, it comes down to the fundamentals of the pass rush. And it's the lanes inside to make sure he doesn't have a chance to step up and escape, the pocket push so that he can't step up right there and escape, and then the edge rush around the side that we want to rush to be level with the quarterback but not run by the quarterback to give him a lane to step out right there and escape. So it's about the middle push right here. You'll see with Dex and Leo inside and pushing it back his left. You got nowhere to step up to. You watch on the edge right here with Zoe and then Azeez up top. As they press on through it, it's level with the quarterback and then alert to fold back and get in that pocket and collapse it. And you see right there, it's a good job of collapsing that pocket, making the play. There's the fumble. We're looking for the scoop and score, but getting on it and securing possession, take them out of a chance for a field goal or a deep shot in the last play of the half is big. As you watch from the backside, again, just emphasizing the pass rush lanes. And we're talking about the pass rush lanes. You need somebody pushing the pocket up the middle. You need the B to C gap area taken care of, and then you need the edge contained on both sides. Now, Matt being a right-handed quarterback in the history of his league over the last decade, when he escapes, he normally escapes out to his right. So if we rush and we lose the integrity of this lane right here, that's the path he's going to look to take to escape, step up, put more stress on the coverage and have to cover longer and give him a chance for a play down the field. But you watch right here, even with the game inside right here, with Dex and Leo wrapping around, we've got the lanes taken care of. There's the contain on the edge right here, and right here we've got the spy with Tay Crowder, who's occupying the back, so we can't help on the rush on the edge. And we've got all 5 spots right there, pocketed up. There's nowhere for the quarterback to go, and that gives a chance right here. It's a great shot of watching Azeez right here, really going speed to power, good extension, and there's the counter back. And you see right there, talk all the time about hand placement and pad level. When we talk to our linemen, and our defensive linemen, it's about getting your eyes under his eyes, and it's about winning who can get the hands inside. Again, you watch those NASCAR drivers, the steering wheels aren't very big, right? It's a powerful vehicle. It's got to be in here tight. That's where all your strength is right there. We want to shoot our hands inside with good leverage, get the extension, and because he gives up his chest right there as an offensive lineman, you see Azeez really use that length, that shock, and there's that little bit of separation right there where he gets back on his heels, and then here's just a quick counter by Azeez folding back underneath, and there's the acceleration off the block right there for the sack.
Coach, if you can take that back a sec, you talk about the complementary aspect of coverage versus coverage and pass rush, right?
Yes.
So as you watch this quarterback go back, before his back foot hits, he's already to the left. It's not there because it's covered. Right. By the time he comes right, there's nothing there and there's a sack. So it really does fold in together because today's NFL, quarterbacks want to get the ball out quick. So he's already there before his back foot hits. He comes back to the other guy, and now your coverage is there and the sack gets it.
Exactly right. You know, and you talk about the difference in the quarterbacks now with how the ball comes out so much faster. If you watch tape going back, just call it 15 years ago, the game was really how long can we create for the quarterback to hold the ball to get the receivers open. Now the game is really, with most quarterbacks, it's can you make him hold it to get the rush there. The really good quarterbacks in this league, the Matt Ryans, the Tom Brady's, guys of that nature there, that ball comes out fast. If you let them get there in the rhythm of getting that ball and almost like a shortstop, getting that ball right back out, they can sit there and pick you apart. And it's before the coverage can really develop, and it's before the rush can get there. So they understand the secret is getting that ball and getting it out. So if you can make a guy like Matt hold the ball by just when he looks downfield, having this in his vision right here coverage-wise, he knows there's not a direct angle to it, direct lane for the pass, that can make him hold it and then give you a chance right here for Aziz to get home.
Field position and winning field position comes in all shapes and sizes, Coach, and special teams execution is something that is very important in a close game.
Yeah, right, exactly. At this point, our defense playing very well. Offense, we're moving the ball. We found ourselves in position. You're right there on that fringe, and you're tempted a lot of times to go ahead and just say, let's go ahead and go for this. In a 4th and 4 situation here, you got to have respect for the Falcons' defense as well. You get 3 downs to go ahead and get it. Sometimes you got to play 4th down for what it is, and that's 4th down. So you're in a mix right here where you got a couple different options. All right, and you're talking about, first off, wind factors in this game. So the wind at this point in the game was strong in this direction. The reason that impacts what's going on right now is, number one, for a long-range field goal, even though Graham's got a big leg, that's going to have a lot of play on it right there. So you got to calculate the risk of, do I go ahead and risk it for 3, and then if we miss it, give them the ball right here, okay, to start their offense, because it's from the spot of the kick, not the spot of the line of scrimmage. So we're going to put their offense at midfield, or do we want to play to the wind factor, where the wind would be in their face, which we had at the end of the first half, all right, where it's pushing hard this way, and if we stop them on defense, they're going to have to punt the ball back to us, and we're going to estimate we're going to get that thing right there around midfield and have another swing of the bat to go down there and capitalize in field position. You want to make sure when you get field position, you maintain and you keep it. You don't do something foolish to go ahead and risk it and lose it for no reason. If your defense is playing well, which we were at this point of the game, and offense, you feel you can move the ball, then you want to play to your defense at that point, but you got to make the play to keep them down there and secure it. So we talk about the protection inside right here, and obviously it starts against these big players. And what a lot of teams do is you get into a certain area of the field where you play your defense is safe. And what that means is more defensive players on the punt return unit than it would be just typical special teams players. And the reason you put the big guys out here is to make sure you're kind of negating any kind of fake chance. So any kind of direct run with the PP, you got the big bodies inside saying you're not going to get there. There are guys that normally play on the edge on defense. It takes you out of that kind of PP sweep type of fake right there. And then you're playing really typically your starting corners outside. So it takes you out of any kind of a risk or a factor of trying to throw some kind of pass on the outside. So by putting your defense personnel out there, you're saying, we're going to go ahead and just trade getting the ball back to our offense for maybe field position down the way right here. Now, what that turns into a punt team is you have to be alert for size players. Okay, and you talk about, normally these guys are running backs, tight ends, some linebackers. You got some defensive ends who can crash off the edge right there and put some real pressure on you. You want to make sure you're protected on the edge. So you've got to buckle down, make sure you don't lose too much ground, really secure the edge right here, and then be firm inside versus these big defensive tackles and defensive ends who rush for a living and making sure we don't get compressed. Now, once you handle that position right there, it really becomes a game of pitch and catch for the punter and then the gunner. Now, Riley can hit the ball right or left equally. All right, and this one right here, we had called it to go left and going down there to Keon Carlson. So really a good shot right here, okay? Riley doing his job. And again, there's an element of saying you want to get selfish, try and get as close to the 1 yard line as possible. The reality is you got to get it down to the 10 yard line. You're saying that no worse if we punt the ball from the 39, 40 yard line, their offense is starting on the 10 yard line at best. But now we got to go down there and execute it right here. Now, Riley put that ball up there for kind of pitch and catch on the 10. But as I talked about earlier, that wind's pushing it. So when that wind pushes that ball in the back end, the gunner right here, Keon, does a great job of recognizing it, locating the ball at the high point right there as he runs on by. And his job here is to play the goalie. So he'll play the goalie, the backside gunner will play for coverage right here, and then everybody else has to play to the returner, because what you have to assume from the inside here is if that ball's fielded coming forward on a bad punt, you've got to be the only line of defense really stopping from a big return. Patrick Peterson's first touchdown in the league against Carolina years ago was against punt safe in a plus 50 situation. They all ran by to down the ball. He hit it on a crease going forward, and it was a big play. So you got to show plays like that to really teach him the emphasis. But it's a good job right here. All right, Keon Carlson again. He locates at a high point, and the rules of the NFL, it's the body, not the ball. So he cannot touch this white of the goal line or any part of the end zone and then touch the ball without reestablishing his feet in the field of play. It's a good job here. Keon sees it. Ball's going in the end zone. He reaches across. He bats it back. Both of his feet are still in the field of play. Now, once he touches that ball, it's consequence-free now for this returner to run over, pick it up, and then return it. At that point, the field position can be no worse than where he picks up and recovers it as an offensive player. So he's going to look over, we call it a bingo situation. He's going to look over right here, and he's trying to steal it as a bingo. Now, we got coverage coming down here from the back end, but it's a good job here of Keon recognizing the returner's coming close. He bats it back. He gets both his feet back in the field of play, and then Carter Coughlin comes in. We got to be a little bit cleaner than this right here in terms of downing it, but Keon does a good job the second time around of getting that thing and keeping it on the ground.
Coach, bring it back a little bit. You talk about the free of consequences. Right here, 36, that he bellows out here just to outflank him in case that happens?
Yes. So like I said.
So that's not coincidence.
No, the core is responsible for the contain of that guy, and he's responsible for all the return stuff. So when Cullen sees that right there, and Cullen's a pretty smart player, when Cullen sees that right there, he knows what he's looking at. He's actually yelling to Keon right now, alert the bingo, because he sees the returner peeling back towards it. Now, a lot of times you see is two kinds of returners. The aggressive returner, like you see Williams right here, peeling back towards it, or the guy gives it the sideline early and says, play's over, I'm not going to do anything that's going to risk having something stupid happen, I'm going to get on away from it. Cullen's screaming, alert the bingo, and you watch him flank him right here like you pointed out to, and you see the coverage right there, Caden cutting the field, Cullen there, Reggie coming over top right there, and then there's Darnay and Keon, our gunners, and then our tackles, Penny and Carter going down there to help down that ball.
Coach, final question. If you just bring it back to right after Keon bats it back into play, okay, so he bats it back, just from a rules standpoint for our audience, now he's gone in the end zone. He can't be the first one to touch it again, can he?
He can, but he has to come back into the field of play and establish both feet. Now, the rule of going out of bounds as a gunner and coming back in, you cannot be the first toucher in that situation. So in a lot of situations, where it's that minus 50 range, we call it the 60-40 ball. Say the ball's on a minus 40, and all of a sudden it carries down there. Now you're doing the plus 50. That gunner may have released outside and ran in the white because he got contact. Now you cannot run out on your own. That's a penalty. They had one on them later in the game. It was a 5-yard penalty. But if you get contacted and pushed out in the white, the rule is, all right, once you enter the white, you have to show a direct angle and maintain that angle coming back into bounds. If at some point you were to be knocked out and then flatten out and run in the white, that's going to be a 15-yard penalty. So as a gunner, you have to have awareness of where you are at all times. You have to understand, where did I line up? How close to the sideline? Was I contacted to go out? I've got to make sure that I bubble, take a direct path back in. And then once I take that angle, I've got to maintain it. Because if you lose it, now all of a sudden we're dealing with a bad penalty. If he's coming from out of bounds in this situation, Bob, he would not be able to be the first toucher on that ball. But because he remained inbounds the entire time, going in the end zone, he has to reestablish both feet in the field of play to be the first toucher.
Giants needed a touchdown and 2-point conversion to get the game tied against the Falcons. We're going to take a look at Saquon Barkley's touchdown leap as opposed to run here. And, Coach, take us through the execution.
Well, whatever it takes to get in the end zone, he does a heck of a job. We'll see in a second, leaving from that 3-4 yard line and getting across, doing something I could never do with a trampoline. But, starting right here, just goal line offense. And, again, the emphasis about getting that 1 yard to get in the end zone. It's all about the penetration from either the offensive line or the defensive line. This is never a pretty play, but you guys got to make sure you get enough of a pocket one way or the other to disrupt it defensively and get into the blocking of the offense, all right, or offensively to get into the defense and create enough of a cave to get the run going right there, going through. Now, there's different kinds of runs on the goal line. There's a direct run like we're talking about right here, going blasting right up through the middle with the fullback lead. There's also more the stretch style runs where you're not looking to necessarily go ahead and outrun to the edge, but you're looking to create more of these runs, all right, just off the tackle's outside hip, where you create more of a glancing blow from the defense. So if you can get them kind of cut off and sawed off, and the contact from the linebackers will come, you want to hit it more on an angle to carry it across with your pads. We see Daniel do something very similar to that in the 2-point conversion, but make sure we call it more of a glancing blow. But it's a good example right here of a downhill direct run. We're just going to watch from the side right here. Go ahead and focus on the offensive line, and then also Eli Penny as the lead blocker. So we see it right here initially, right off the ball. All right, obviously, there's a lot of bodies right there, and it's really just staying scratch, offense, defense, who's going to win it. And really got good push from the offensive line and good claw and scratch in there. But watching 39, the fullback, Eli Penny, come in here and really go ahead and clean out the defensive lineman, all right, and the linebackers coming to fit, all right, and Billy doing a good job climbing to the backers as well right here. But you watch as he climbs on through right there with Eli, that's really enough of the push he needed. And again, just going back to Saquon right here, just a heck of a job right here, him leaving his feet. And then the big point is talking about ball security. The one thing he never does right here is he never reaches the ball out. And the one thing, it's tough to explain to players a lot of times. They have to understand if it's 4th and goal or a 2-point conversion, it's a one-play scenario. You either get it, you don't have 4th and goal and 2-point conversion, you either get it or you don't. That's when we can reach the ball out to make sure we get across the goal line at all costs. Otherwise, we want to carry it across with our pads, understanding that if you reach it out, you don't get it and it goes in the end zone, it's the other team's ball potentially on the 20-yard line going the other way. That's a great job right here of him with good ball security going up, and this is just player making a play. He meets the linebacker right there on the goal line and then goes ahead and pushes him across right there, finishing with his pads in the end zone for the score. And we'll see it from the backside in a second for a little more of a picture of it.
Carl, you were in a few of these things in your day.
Yeah. Coach, the one thing that I noticed before you even get to this play is two things. Saquon Barkley jumps from the 4-yard line. That's impressive. But the other piece of it, and you talk about it all the time for both your offensive interior and your defensive interior, pad level.
Yes.
He could have never gotten that far if guys stood up on the snap. They all kept low pad levels, which gave him a really good launch angle.
That's a great coaching point right there, and you're exactly right. You see it right here when we come off the ball right here, and you can see a lot of low pads right there. You see a lot of the high jerseys right here, all right, in white. So we got the eyes under eyes with the pad level. And then again, that's really what, when there's that stalemate at first on the first contact, what ends up giving us the opportunity to finish on them right here. And you watch again, as he come through with Eli, we've got pads under pads. Eli comes through here as that kind of final moving force right there. There's enough of that pocket right there that, again, allows Saquon right here to jump up and over and finish in the end zone. And again, the thing we use this to highlight with our team, again, isn't that it's a highlight play. I mean, everyone knows it's a great play right here. But the fact of doing the great plays with good ball security, balls high and tight, nose of the ball stays up, it's protected right there and carrying across the goal line with our pads for a big play and a key situation right there for us.
Coach, we appreciate the time this week.
Appreciate it,
Thanks,
guys.
Coach.